Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. And today we have a special guest, Mohamed Karim, who is one of the stars of the brand new, newly released A Day to Die. Mohamed, thank you for being our guest. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. Really excited for this interview. How you doing?
I'm doing great. And like I told you before we got started, I watched the movie again, yesterday again. Definitely a high adrenaline, action packed film. You play Lieutenant Reynolds in the film. Now, the film is available out now on video on demand, on your video on demand platform of choice for everybody that's watching. It's called A Day to Die. It stars Bruce Willis, Kevin Dillon, Frank Grillo, Mohamed Karim here, who plays Lieutenant Reynolds. So, when you booked this role, tell us the thoughts that went through your head. The movie you were going to do, the people you were going to be working with. What were your emotions and feelings at the moment you found out that you booked it?
It was a lot of emotions, to be honest with you, John. Like different things. Like it's kind of like checked a lot of boxes for me, being an artist here in Hollywood. Um, I think the big win for me here in when I start reading the whole script was the fact that start with Lieutenant Reynolds, become like detective and getting high ranked and everything. The fact that number one, it's a non-stereotype role, which is odd here in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Playing finally, you get to play, a cool normal role. It doesn't matter where you're originally from or like your culture or your look or your skin or whatever. So the fact that I get to play one of the leads, and he's detective, and he's on top of that he's the good guy, playing the good guy in a film. That's, you don't get that much here in Hollywood, much of these type of roles here. So that kind of like checked several boxes for me, sort of like in terms of the role, the the scenes that gathered me with Bruce Willis, like the fact that all my scenes it's opposite Bruce.
Yeah.
That kind of like really kind of like got really my interest too.
I bet. I bet. Now, the film opens up with a very intense action sequence.
Yeah.
We know that night had a lasting effect on the characters throughout the film. How do you think it impacted your character, Reynolds, who, you mentioned it, he's the good guy, and probably, I would say, the only good guy that we really get to know in the film. Your character, I mean, really is the only good guy. I mean, let's start off with that. What are your thoughts on that, on being the only person that has a moral compass in this movie?
I really liked it because we usually watch these actions, it's sort of like films, like it's a straight up action. There's no much drama in there. Sort of like the same characters that you always like a bad guy, whatever, like highest or like sort of like a bank robbery or whatever. But in this particular film, and especially my role, as he said, being the only nice guy in the film, I think that's a lot of privilege for me. And the fact that I'm given like strong message in there that, Reynolds had that sort of character that he wants to implement law. He wants the law and order. He wants to do everything right. And he doesn't care what's going to happen for him as long as he's doing the right thing. And he always after his beliefs, and he wants to do, bring justice. And that kind of put him in a lot of trouble, not just like with the bad guys. No, it's also internally with his, superior or his bosses, or whatever. The fact that he throughout the movie, we see that he got that kind of like his gut feelings telling him that there's something's off and there's something wrong and he needs to change. And he talks with, his boss or whatever, and people don't really listen to him and they're not believing in what he's saying. But he kept, digging, and he wanted to prove his point that he's right.
Yeah,
And the fact that he confronts his boss, and that sort of intense scenes, and when he kind of like had that master scene with Alston Bruce Willis, and he's saying like it something's off. Like, why every time I have somebody under my custody, he either like gets killed or kidnapped or something wrong. So he kind of like had that, but nobody ever wanted to listen to him, and they didn't believe him until he proved his point, and he had to prove at the end, and he bring down
the
the big
chief.
dog, as they
Yeah,
say. Yep.
the chief. So
Yeah.
surrounded by corruption in the police department, in the military, on the streets, of course. Um, I've spoken to a lot of actors, and for a lot of actors, they like to fill in their own backstory on their character, even though the writers don't give it to them or the director doesn't give it to them. So, in your mind, as you were building up Reynolds,
Yeah.
how did you portray him in a way that he kept a sense of what was right and wrong while being surrounded by all this corruption?
That was one of my first questions when I had my conversation with my director, was Miller, who I showed out for him. Excuse me.
It's okay.
He's such a great director that I kind of learned a lot from him. He's that kind of guy that you sit down with him and brainstorm over the character. And my first question to him was, what's Reynolds' motivation? Why would he want to do this? Why he wants to always want to do the right thing? It should be something in there that this is his motivation, that he's always want to do, bring justice. He's after the bad guys. He doesn't care what's going to happen to him. Doesn't care if this is going to backlash him or make him, some problems, whatever, internally, as long as he's doing the right thing. There must be something in his life, his history, whatever
Yeah.
that happened, that kind of like uh, motivates him and pushes him really hard to do this. And we came out, with I just made that he's a single dad, and he has like daughter. And there was a really nice scene at the beginning, but with the edit and stuff, it wasn't there. But I think whether it's there or not, you build up your own character, as he said. And I built that with Wes, that he's a single dad. He has only one daughter, and his wife passed away. So I built up like how his wife passed away is because he was after, a criminal who
Wow.
happens to kill his wife. So that kind of like motivate him to be in the police in the first place, and to always, sacrifice and go all in for justice. So that kind of motivate Reynolds in order to always want to implement law and bring justice, because his family got really affected because of injustice, and because of he couldn't, bring the whoever was the reason for his wife's death.
And he
So
wants
you,
to bring a better world for his child, too.
for sure, for sure. Like, we had a scene at the beginning. I remember, I'm talking to Bruce, and I'm telling him right after we kind of like, took care of the situation, and we kind of like released the hostages. And I told him, congrats, you finally did it. And my daughter's birthday, I have to be there for her. Like, and we had that kind of scene at the beginning, but I think it makes sense that was taken out, because at that part of the film at the beginning, there it was so much intense, and you don't have that much of
Yeah.
conversation that you can put. But that was like my background of the story, that you have that history, and you have that sort of like motivation that motivates you to do the right thing. So
Absolutely.
I just took it from there and just kept going.
Now, when I was watching the movie, because you are like the part of the police department that doesn't fit because you're not corrupt, I was actually questioning: are you part of like some internal affairs inside the police department? You know, the police that police the police. But no, you're not. You're a regular cop. You're just not corrupted like the majority of the forces, and in particular, your boss. Were there any aspects of yourself that you put into Reynolds?
For sure, we all have a lot of things in life that we see or watch or something that you kind of like, as an actor, you need to bring this and reflects it on the screen as well sometimes. So we get either, if we didn't go through something in life, we always try to bring something that from your experience, from your friends or family, whatever happened to them. Um, but answering your, um, you remember that scene when he was talking to Kevin Dillon and he had to take his badge
Yeah,
and he took away his gun as well
yeah.
because he's the one that
I
has.
believe he called you an asshole.
Yes. So Reynolds, it's not just like after the bad guy's outside, he's inside, outside, whatever it takes, as long as he's doing the right thing. And he's always doing his own investigation on everything, making sure that things are going right.
Yeah,
So that's why he took one of his colleagues' badge and gun, because he felt that this is not right and investigation has to be done. And I think Reynolds, it's everywhere in the world, man.
yeah,
It's everywhere. It's not just like in the police. It's in the hospital. It's in a court. In real life, in markets, everywhere.
absolutely,
There are a lot
absolutely.
of great people out there, and I think this is great message that saying that every even if you have like a lot of like bad guys around, each bad guy has his own sort of bright side that you can. There's no such thing that like 100% evil. You,
Exactly.
you, you
And
you can have.
we're gonna get to one of the big bad guys here in a little bit. But I want to talk about your fellow castmates here. You know, Bruce Willis, Kevin Dillon, Frank Grillo. What was it like working with those guys? I mean, Bruce Willis is a legend. Bruce Willis, I know he's known for action movies, but Bruce Willis is a great actor. He's an amazing actor. He can do drama. You know, he's done The Sixth Sense. Then, of course, the action movies, the Die Hard movies. What was it like working with Bruce? Because you and him had a lot of scenes together in this movie. Was this the first time that you got to meet Bruce Willis?
Yeah, that was my first time actually.
And what was your impression getting to meet him and working with him on set?
I think we hit it off from first time, man. Like I remember, like the time we met was on set. That was one of my master scenes, like the one in the coffee shop, and that's where I kind of like my first time I confront him and tell him why every time you hear Pettis' name, you get like sort of like get scared.
Yeah,
And he's supposed to be my boss, so that was like the first confrontation that I did. I think before we even started, he was such a nice guy, man. He's so down to earth, really cool, and that kind of like gave me so much confidence. And I think he's such a great legend, man. Like the fact that I grew up watching Die Hard movies and a big fan of all his work. And he just said it, man. He Bruce did everything. He did the action, the drama, the thriller,
yeah,
everything. This is like the dream of anybody can get the same sort of path he had.
yeah.
Um, and we had a lot of really good moments. Like in between scenes, he kind of chat and we have fun. And he was like, "Where are you from originally?" I was like, "Oh, you're from Egypt," and we got a really nice conversation that we had there. And I learned a lot of things from him actually, especially during the tough action scenes that we had.
Yeah. And
I
he's
mean,
he's very experienced with action
oh
movies.
my god,
That goes without
oh
saying.
oh my god, you can see the joy in his eyes doing all these action scenes, like literally like grabbing that machine gun and like walking down like downtown Jackson, Mississippi. They're literally, by the way, they're literally like shut out for all the production of the film. They literally blocked down the whole city, like
Wow.
literally the evacuated downtown Mississippi for us, which I have to, say thanks a lot for all the Mississippi guys that we met over. They were so warm welcoming over there while we were shooting the film. But literally, we had city that no one else but us, and of course
Wow.
that the real cops and the ambulance and like the fire department and everything was like highly alert. Safety was number one, of
Hmm.
course. I remember me and Bruce like having all these action scenes and shooting and blowing up cars and like car explosions and stuff. And you see like having conversation between scenes and having fun. And all of a sudden, you see like Bruce like shifted in like like no second, man. Like
Yeah,
all of a sudden, he shifted to Elson and like grabbing them, just like into character. I think he's a true legend, man.
absolutely. Now, speaking how they shut down the city, is this movie the biggest budget film that you have done to date?
In the U.S., yes. I mean, I've done a lot of feature films and TV and stuff abroad, like in Egypt. And as they say, Egypt is like the Hollywood of the Middle East.
Yeah.
So we've shot a lot of projects over there. But definitely here, as you can see, the film it looks really rich and on the big screen.
Oh yeah.
I think everybody did a great job. Wes pulled it off really nicely and great, and I enjoyed working with him actually. And I was really kind of like, actually, the first time I watched the film was literally like last week when we had our first premiere in New York, and it was such a great feeling, sort of like watching the film with the audience and getting like the
Yeah.
instant feedback right away with everybody there. I think that was amazing, and I had great time with the audience. We had like a Q&A right after. Was me, was the director, Leon, Vernon. So we had a lot of fun, with the audience there. So get to see all these, the whole film after all put together. You go like, wow, that's a great film. And honestly, I think it's one of the best Bruce Willis films in the past few years, honestly, by far.
It is, and uh, seeing it with the people and the critics really like this movie. The fans are enjoying this movie. Was there any nerves leading up to the premiere on your end? On is this movie going to do well? Is it not going to be received well? Were you pretty confident? How were you in the days leading up to the release?
I was actually, believe it or not, I kind of traveled like almost like 2 days traveling. I was like in Egypt and then to Dubai and then from Dubai to LA and then from LA to New
Oh
York
my
all
god!
nonstop. I just wanted to make it on time on the screening. So I was like the most excited guy, wanted to really eagerly wanted to watch the film. So I have no doubt that this film is going to be, great. And when I saw it, it's like on steroids, like even more than I expected.
It
I
is
think
different seeing the finished product after it's all put together, edited, music is added, and ready to
hundred
go.
percent.
And you're like, man, was that really me there? Now, Captain Alston, who is Bruce Willis's character, and your character, like we
Yeah.
said, you guys have a lot of screen time together. There's a chemistry. He knows you are sort of picking up on his red flags. Did you and Bruce have discussions on how you two are going to play off each other?
Um, when we're rehearsing, actually, when we're reading the lines, and we're like, we kind of like go through it like multiple times before we get into the action. And I give a lot of credit for Wes as well because he was in the middle of all that. But I think there was great synergy with Bruce. I think there was a really great chemistry as well. You can feel it, like you know what I mean. Like you can feel it, like you say your line and then he surprises you with something. You answer back. So I think that was pretty cool. And like all the scenes, actually for each scene with Bruce was a master scene for me
Yeah.
because there was like a something that it's a turning point at a certain point of view. Because at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of the film, there's like a year and a half right after the first incident, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where he got promoted, and he took me with him. So sort of like there's a promotion in there. So I think it, I kind of like love the way every time you get to have like a different sort of scene and it's totally different like aspect. Like one is like just like you're super calm, you're talking about like what's the situation and why this is happening, and then you have a little bit doubt, and then you talk with your other colleagues and you tell them like there's something's off with
Yeah.
our boss, and then you start thinking about it, and they tell you like drop it,
Yeah.
don't like
That's
don't
your
even.
boss. I mean, what are you talking about? Exactly.
Exactly.
Now,
And it's so hard if you think about it. It's so hard because there are years that me and him working together supposedly, right?
hmm
And so it's not just like he's like my he's like a family sort of relationship. So for me to believe or start having doubts that there's something wrong about the boss is doing something wrong,
hmm
that this is like insane. This is deep inside Reynolds, my character. It's so sad.
it is.
It's like, so he doesn't want to believe this. He doesn't want to think that it's true that there's something's wrong.
Yeah.
He really wants this not to be the true thing,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, it feels so bad even at the end. I don't want to be like too much spoiler in there, but at the end, even he tells him, "I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but I have to, like, law is law, and I have to do it."
And that expression on Bruce Willis's face right at the very end, when he's taken in, he's like, "I've been caught." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't say anything, but just
No.
that expression on his face is like the jig is up. Now,
Yeah.
let's talk about that phenomenal ending at the bank. Okay, that amazing action sequence. As you read the script and you read how it was going to play out, and then on the set shooting it, did shooting it blow out any expectations that you got from reading the script and on how elaborate that bank, the shootout, the escape, and all that went down?
Awesome. I mean, honestly, Wes really surprised me on set. Like, I've seen something way bigger than I'd expected, to be honest. Like, I've seen something very big. When you read script, especially with like the action scenes, you don't know what exactly is going to be happening in reality, like
Yeah.
on set, right? So you see maybe description and stuff, but like when we get there, we're kind of like ready to see what's going to happen, right? And you kind of like, you trust your director, and you just go with it. So, and then you get surprised. So you're here, you look at it there, you're shooting over there, and then you come, there's another angle shooting over there, and then you're backing up, you grab your phone, you get shot or something, and you start taping here and there. So there are a lot of things, and sometimes things that come,
Yeah.
like all of a sudden he sees there's something really important that has to be there or has to be done there. So I think it was really creative, and I think the action scenes came out great, man.
It was. It was phenomenal. That was just kick ass. Now you play a big role in Bruce Willis's character in the very end. By you were wounded, but you still had the wherewithal to do something to get the proof that you needed. Like I said, I don't. We don't want to give away too many spoilers. Now, Reynolds, uh, he knew something was going to happen, and he had the wherewithal to pull out his phone. Uh, how did you come to terms when you were acting that out? Like he knew that something bad was going to happen for him to pull out his phone and start and hit that record button.
I think if anybody gets shot on a field like that, he will just focus on his injury or his,
Yeah.
like, but this is the beauty of Reynolds' character, that he doesn't care. He wants to prove, his point. He wants to bring down the bad guys. He always had doubts, but he didn't have the chance or didn't know how to prove it.
Mm-hmm.
So even though he was like dying from pain, but this is his chance to have at least a proof, because that was the only reason he brought down the big dog, right? Like,
Yeah.
and he just even though he was in pain and everything after he got shot, but he still got to do what he has to do,
Yeah,
you
and
know.
he
And
did.
he did. He put it in tape, and um, you know, that was his proof to bring him down.
Now this
I think
film,
it's a great moment. It's a great moment. It's like shit. It really is like that's what I've been, saying to everybody. Nobody's listened to me, and also deep inside, he doesn't want to. Now he's seeing it.
yeah,
The betrayal and the everything is seeing it in front of his eyes. So it's like so much emotions, and you
any
know,
doubts that Reynolds may have had were wiped away in that moment. Of his boss being crooked. Any doubts
yeah,
he had were completely gone. Now this film is like three stories. You got the police story, you got the shadow military, and then you have the streets with Pettis. Pettis is a very fascinating character, and his arc from when we first meet him throughout the film to the ending, he goes through quite an arc. What'd you think of the character of Pettis? I think it was very well written, and the three different elements, the police, the shadow military, and then the criminals, the street element with Pettis, were blended together beautifully. But share your thoughts about Pettis and his character, and of course how vital he was to the story.
I think Leon nailed it, man. Like the role, he really killed it. And that's why I'm telling you, it's different. This film is different from any other straight up action film because it's very rich and it has a lot of stories in there, as you said. And each one of those characters, I think each one of us were really, really sort of like focusing and in his character, and want to do like the best possible. And I think Pettis or Leon, I think he did a great job in terms
Mm-hmm.
of showing that not the typical sort of like bad guy,
Yeah.
like that's what I said. Like you need each bad guy definitely has his bright side, right? Like if even though he was like a gangster, or like the head of like the gangs or whatever, but at the same time he's given money for poor people, and he's taking care of his own people, and you know what I mean.
Yep.
Like, and then we also, that's another message, beside Reynolds' message that he wants to pursue anybody that believes in something. He has to go all the way in and pursue it and go by his gut feeling and prove it.
Yep.
He also, that character, he has his own sort of point that he wants to, that we want to say that it doesn't matter. Like life can change people, where you come from changes, the family, the financial status, neighborhood, all that can adds up and change. Somebody who's really nice can make, be bad guy for some reason, circumstances, and I think you can see that each one of us has different sort of, sort of like a side. So I think even though he was the bad guy and like he did a lot of, horrible things, but still he has his own sort of like good guy inside that
Yeah.
sometimes it
And
can come out.
and the writers did a great job by giving us like the little clues when he talks about his mother leaving him on a street corner or something like that.
Yeah.
He even when he was bad, he still had a part of him that was redemptive. He could be redeemed, and have the good part of him come out. And he goes through this amazing arc. Now, as an actor, every actor, as with any profession, whatever project, job that you do, you walk away from it better than you did coming in. You learn something new. What did you gain out of A Day to Die that you're going to take with you for the rest of your career?
I think multiple things, to be honest with you. Number one, I think um, it's a statement, to be honest. Like the fact that back to back, I've been doing movies here in U.S. And in Hollywood. The fact that I was able to pull it off, not doing stereotype roles for the
Yeah.
second time in a row. I think that's my big win. That proves that if you write for the role, if you good actor, you good actor. And
Mm-hmm.
that, I hope that will be sort of a door for to open for other people. There are a lot of great talents in there, in Hollywood and the whole nation, that they don't just have the chance to get the opportunity. And I
Yeah.
think that proves a lot that I don't have to play a Middle Eastern role. I don't have to play like a guy like in the desert, or I don't, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like a Hispanic guy. He doesn't have to be like a drug dealer,
Yeah.
or like a Russian guy doesn't be a mafia, or European or whatever, Asian. Like all these stereotype role. I think it's time to make a change, and I think Hollywood started to realize that and started to not as fast as we expect and we want,
Hmm.
but at least it's a good start. I think I also learned that everything happens for a reason or right time. I think I was blessed to work with a producer as Andrew.
Yeah.
Andrew. We need people like that in order to give chances for actors and filmmakers in general. That if you need to believe in some people to give them opportunities. Also, Wes, I think I'm blessed to work with such a great director that he wanted to make this film as much diverse as possible. Look at the diversity that we have
Yeah.
in the film.
Hmm.
Um, and I think I gained a lot of friends and made a really great friendship from this film. Kevin Dillon, Frank Grillo, Vern Davis, Leon,
Hmm.
Brooke, Alex, all these guys were amazing. I think the most important thing for me is to make sure that my word gets out there, and I want people to realize that, oh, so that could be a good guy, that could play this role, and he doesn't have to be this
Stereotype.
ethnicity or what. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, now, when your agent presented you with this role to audition for, did they say what kind of look they were going for Reynolds? Uh, or did you like really impress them with your audition? Do you have any knowledge of that? What
It
look
was.
they
I
were
think it.
looking? Yeah,
I
for
think it
Reynolds.
was all ethnicities.
Okay.
And
Okay.
usually, when you get that, this is like the most hard thing you can ever audition for, because everybody's in audition for the same role.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think I was blessed to get the chance to audition, and first of all to meet personally with the producer who he called the director and set it up, and I had the pleasure meeting with him, and they wanted to see my work, my previous work. Obviously, my previous film helped a little. A Score to Settle,
Mm-hmm.
opposite Nicolas Cage and
Yeah.
Benjamin Bratt. So I think that also helped. By far, this film for me, it's a turning point, and it changed a lot. Sort of like gave me a lot of confidence, gave me a lot of hope that you can always do what you always work for. Obviously, I want to do more and more and more, and I don't want to be sort of like typecast in like only action
Yeah.
films, just like I did in other territories in the world, like movies like drama. I play the villain, I play the nice guy, the rom-com. So I think
Well, that's the thing
I
about Hollywood and actors of all ethnicities. When it comes to genres, there are actors that, because they've done one, two, or three successful action movies, dramas, or horrors, they do sort of get boxed in uh, by casting directors, producers, and directors for that genre in specific. And it's very hard to break free of that and show your talent that you can do action, you can do drama, you can do comedy. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Like, would you feel comfortable, and have you done comedy in the past?
Absolutely, and that's what I'm really hoping for, is to play different roles here, just the same way I did, in Egypt. I want to do everything that I always wanted to, and honestly, I want to do something that relatable to me, like. I want to do like some sort of like a culture difference sort of movies to show like when you have culture differences, you have a lot of dramas and you have a lot of comedy in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Like fish out of water. You know what I mean? Like all these kind of stuff. It's so related to me, and it feels so real. And every time you get close to the being real, people really feel that, and
Mm-hmm.
it reflects on the screen.
It does.
So I'm that's what I'm looking forward to, do different genres and different roles.
That's awesome. Mohammed, you are great in A Day to Die. Guys, please watch it. Like I said, it's available on your video on demand platform of choice, Amazon, Vudu, and so on. It's a great action movie. It's not just straight up blow him up, shoot him up movie. This movie has a story, it has a plot line, it has a theme, it has great characters, great acting. Uh, your character was great. You did great in the film.
Thank you.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. The chemistry with you and Bruce, and then Kevin and Frank, everybody was great. You guys pulled off something really special. And before we go, do you have any final thoughts you want to share?
Thank you so much. I just, I thank you for this great interview, and I thank the audience, and I really love for them to watch the film,
Yes.
and hopefully, I'm getting ready to prepare for my new feature film, and I hope they're gonna like it. It has nothing to do with action this time. It's
Can
a
you give
horror
us a
film.
hint? What kind? What is it?
Yeah, it's a horror film. It's
Oh,
untitled still, yeah, but it's a horror, and it's gonna take place here and in Egypt.
nice,
Yeah.
nice. Oh, have you
So I'm really
started
excited.
shooting yet or not yet?
No, no, no.
Okay.
It's in the works right now. It's at we're in a writing script stage right now, so it's in development. So we're almost done with the script. So hopefully, it gets done. We get into production probably this year.
That's
Hopefully,
awesome. That's awesome. Mohammed, thank you so much. I want to thank our viewers who are watching this live and those of you who'll be watching this later on archived. Again, the movie's called A Day to Die. Bruce Willis, Kevin Dillon, Frank Grillo, Mohamed Karim. Check it out. Mohammed, thank you. On behalf of Mohammed and myself, guys, stay safe and stay walking. Good night, everybody.
good.